Oh shit, that's right, the
Upgrade
relics.
complete.
Well, if there's time, we can blast them free with a laser drill. I bet Stedman would love to study them.
Forgot about those. Shit, I forgot what I was saying. Oh. After Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow came the N64. Oh shit. In, what was it, 98? I think it was 98, I don't remember exactly. Which was awesome, and one of my favorite systems of all time.
Sure thing.
And it's still a great system, and one of the best games that ever came out for it. And actually, I think it was one of the first games that came out for it was Super Mario 64. And Super Mario 64 was,
Additional supply depots
with the exception of maybe the first Super Mario, like Super Mario 1, or the Super Mario Brothers for NES. That was probably... Will you attack that stupid thing? Where's the attack order? God damn it, I gotta use this stupid laser. N64, Super Mario 64 was probably the best Mario game I've ever played, with the exception of Super Mario Brothers for the NES. And I played Super Mario 64, my brother and I played that a shit ton. And by a shit ton, I mean a shit ton. I mean, we're talking like, beat the game, got all the stars, and then wanted to beat the game again, except faster, and tried to beat each other's time. I mean, it was insane the amount of time that we spent playing that game. And son of a bitch, there are cons over here. So, there's still the crazy Super Mario excitement, because I mean the game was awesome, and it still is a really good game, although the camera angle, if you go back, like if you remember how awesome Super Mario 64 was,
upgrade
and the
complete.
great times that you had if you've ever played it, and I'm sure pretty much anybody's ever played it, you could ask your grandmother and she, oh yeah, I picked that up once or twice. If you go back and play it now, that has the worst camera angle of any video game I've ever played. It was horrible. It is so hard to control the camera in that game. When you stand in a corner and you turn the camera to the outside, like outside edge, and you're looking towards the corner, and you stand Mario, like looking at the corner, all of a sudden the camera like does not want to move and it locks up. It is so aggravating. I tried playing it on an emulator a couple days ago, and it was so aggravating to try and play that. So, after Super Mario in 1999, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time came out. And Ocarina of Time is an amazing Zelda, Legend of Zelda, and it's potentially one of the best Zeldas. Is it, in my opinion? I really don't know, because I like all of them. Some people have a preference for, oh, Majora's Mask is the best one ever, or, oh, Ocarina of Time is the best one, or even, oh, the original is the best one. So really, it's a personal opinion, much like Mario, and I really don't care, I just like them all. I don't really like the Pigeonhole game series. Like Ratchet & Clank series, all of them are really good, except for Size Matters. That one is just kind of meh, kind of shitty. But I mean, it wasn't even developed by Insomniac. It was developed by some side studio for PSP, and then it was kind of ported over to the PS2 after, I think it was like a year after the original release for the PSP. And the PSP version was okay, but when they ported it over to the PS2, it wasn't so good. But anyway, aside from that tangent I just went on for no apparent reason whatsoever. In 1999, I actually did not own Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I had to play it at a friend's house. And when I was playing it at a friend's house, I was always like, I could, excuse me, I could never play it for longer than like an hour,
Additional supply
because
depots
we'd always go
required.
outside and do something else, or do another game or something.
The laser drill is now cutting through the door's thermal barrier.
So really, I never got into the game. I really liked it, but I never got past, say, the fire temple, because I'd never been in his house long enough, or maybe he'd overwrite my save file, or he would beat it and then tell me the ending, but...
Sir, more air units inbound.
We gotta take them out, or they'll keep dropping troops right on top of us.
Well, I got siege tanks, so why do I give a shit? Was that all the war prisms? No, there's one more. Zappy zappy. Blow up the scout too. What the? How the hell? Okay. Oh, that's probably get a certain number of kills with the laser. So I never really beat it, per se. Like, I never actually beat the game until I had it, like, a year later.
Mineral field depleted.
Because I never got... Alright, I got an allowance as a kid, but I never got, like, a consistent allowance up to the age of, like, 13. My allowance stopped when I was, like, 10. So, really, I never had any money to go actually buy anything.
Sure thing.
So everything was either bought for me during Christmas, or I had to wait for a birthday, or maybe I didn't even get it all. So when I would actually do, it was actually lawn work for, I think it was my dad, and he'd give me like $5 or whatever for mowing the lawn or something. And this is when I was like 12 and I couldn't actually push the lawnmower. So I saved up enough money and I got the Legend of Zelda, and it was a copy I bought from a yard sale. I only got it for like $10 at the time. The owner of the yard sale was some old lady that bought it for her son or her grandson. His grandson didn't want it or whatever. So I got it crazy cheap, and I played the shit out of it, and I beat it. Or actually, I didn't beat it because my brother still sort of makes fun of me for this. But when I was playing it for the first time, I'd gotten to Ganon, and when I made, you know, the tower through Ganon's castle in the Dark World. Or in the future, I guess you could say it. That tower is pretty freaky, and when you're 12 and you're playing through that, that's the scariest shit on the planet, and you don't know what to do because it's so scary. And so I was afraid of actually going up and fighting Ganon, and I didn't want to fight Ganon. So I got to the very end where I would beat Ganondorf, because Ganondorf is he's an elf guy, and he doesn't look weird. And I got to Ganondorf, and I would beat Ganondorf, and then when it was the cutscene for Ganon, I always shut the Nintendo off. I never actually beat Ganon. I have now, but I mean, I'll get to that. And I'd never actually beaten Ganon at that point. And my brother always made fun of me for it. He's like, "Oh, you're chicken, you can't beat Ganon, you're afraid of him." And I openly admitted it. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm freaked out. He is scary." So at that point, I'd never beaten The Legend of Zelda. And then, like, I don't know, a couple months later or a year later, I'd actually done it, and I'd stopped being a baby, and I went through and I beat him. These guys are not upgraded. Okay, I can kill them. And it was just freaky because I'd never actually played through, or I'd never actually killed Ganon before, and I didn't know what to do. I eventually figured it out but when you're 12 and the internet hasn't actually taken off yet. I mean, there was no high speed, it was still dial-up, and you had that horrible sound, and you had to spend like 10 minutes trying to hook up, and then mom needs to make a phone call, so you have to disconnect from the internet, and then she's on the phone for 2 hours, or maybe dad needs a business call or whatever. So really, the internet was really inconsistent, and YouTube wasn't even up yet, and it was not very popular. I mean, this was like 2002. Majora's Mask had come out, and I loved Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask was one of those games that I was old enough to play through the game completely and understand what was going on, but I wasn't old enough to know exactly what was happening, but I was able to appreciate the game for what it was. I mean, not now. If I go back and play the game now, or actually I have, but if I go and play now, I can't really appreciate it for what it was because it's not 2002 when the game came out, or 2001 or approximately or whatever. So it's really hard to get that feeling of appreciation for a video game when you're so young, or you don't really understand why the game came out or what the premise of it was. So I was able to appreciate Majora's Mask a lot, and I really did like it. A lot of people don't like it, some people do. I'm one of those people that do like it.
Thermal barrier breached. The laser drill is now cutting through the core.
They seek to befoul the legacy of the gods. Destroy them.
I mean, I have friends that say that Majora's Mask is the worst Zelda ever, and that it should never have been made. And I don't agree with that at all. But Majora's Mask is a great game. Ocarina of Time is a great game. Wind Waker is a great game. Granted, Wind Waker was fucking annoying and repetitive due to the amount of sailing that you had to do. Oh my god, that was so bad. The sailing in that game it didn't kill the game for me, but it made me not want to play it for a really long time. And it actually made me not want to play it for a long time, and I actually didn't pick it up until I think it was a year after its release, so it was probably like 2004, and even then I didn't even own a GameCube. I jumped the Nintendo ship when the PS2 came out. I never owned a PS1, but I jumped the Nintendo ship, and I went to Sony because it was Christmas in the PS2 came out in 2004, if I remember right, and I was into a little bit of PC gaming. I mean, I'd had a computer ever since I can remember, but it wasn't my computer. It was always my dad's computer, my mom's computer, and those computers in like the 90s, they were never very good. They couldn't run anything. And it wasn't until 2002 that games actually came out that were fun to play. One of those games being Counter-Strike. I played the original Counter-Strike, but I didn't play it a lot.
There's another wave of air units heading your way.
These guys just won't
Jesus
give up.
Christ.
Stick it to them, boys.
Goddamn air units. So, I mean, I played Counter-Strike. I didn't play it a lot. One game that I really did want to play in, what was it, 2004. Yeah, 2004 was Vanilla WoW. And back then it was just WoW. But I was never able to take full opportunity of Vanilla WoW. I was, I think, 14 or 15 when WoW originally came out in 2004, and I didn't start playing it until it was probably the year before Burning Crusade came out, and I really got into Burning Crusade, and I really got into Wrath of the Lich King, the two following expansions after, but I never really got into Vanilla WoW, and I mean, at the time, when I was playing, I didn't know what I was doing. I was playing I made a paladin, and the paladin, I got him to like level 20, and then, no, I don't like the paladin, and I made a hunter, and I got the hunter to level 60 it was level 60, because the cap was still in by the time I hit 60, but I didn't know what I was doing, and when I hit 60, it was within like a week of Burning Crusade coming out, because it took me nearly a year to actually hit the cap in Vanilla WoW, because back then that game took such a huge time investment. It was a huge time sink, and oh my god, now that I think back, it was horrible. I mean, the amount of time required just to get from level 30 to 40 was horrifying. I mean, it took the same amount of time that it takes now. I don't play anymore. I mean, I was playing, god, a month and a half ago, but I stopped playing because I realized that game is like crack and I need to stop playing, but
Upgrade complete.
it took nearly the same amount of time to get from 30 to 40 as it does to get from 1 to 70 now.
Mineral field depleted.
It's crazy. And I don't mean like sheer numbers by like experience points. I mean the amount of time that you had to do, because the quests were so goddamn hard. Everything was new and nobody knew what they were doing, and everything was just so difficult and new, and nobody knew what to do and how to actually level quickly. Now it's like, oh, they cut the experience requirements down tremendously. I would go as far as to say that it's down even 50% from the original game. One major jump from that was Wrath of the Lich King. Wrath of the Lich King really reduced the amount of experience needed to get from 1 to 60. And then again in Cataclysm and the following Wrath of the Lich King patches that came out, what was it, patch 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, they really kept reducing the amount of experience and making the game subsequently easier. And Wrath of the Lich King, I hated. That expansion was the worst expansion I'd ever played. Cataclysm is a good expansion, but I mean, I'd been playing WoW for shit, what was almost 6 years. It would have been, no, because I hadn't been playing since release, so it would have been 4 years, 4.5, something like that. Yeah, it would have been about 4 years, and I just had enough. I mean, if I go back to that game, if I go to that game now and I sit down in front of a computer, and my original character is there, and I try to play it, I just can't. I mean, I have no interest in it at all. MMOs are pretty much dead for me. I mean, there's a time in, I don't know if it's every gamer's life, because I have friends that have played the game for like 10 minutes and like, okay, I hate this, but for people like me, there's a phase in your life where you're so focused and into one video game series or one type of game that you can't play anything else. You don't want to play anything else at all, ever. And then once you hit that cap, that wall, then you don't want to play that video game series or video game type ever again. And it's just, it sucks, but it also is good because it allows you to branch out and play other things. I mean, from the time that I started playing WoW to the time that it was easily 1 year of playing WoW, I hadn't played nearly any other video game at all. I mean, I had a PS2, so I played like the original Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter, which is a great game. I actually LP'd that. And if you look in the playlists, conveniently to the right if you're on the channel, then you'll find it. And that was the very first LP that I did. About coming up on a year ago. It was back in May? April? No, not April. It wasn't that early. Actually, it was probably August, something like that. And that game, along with Ratchet and Clank, helped peel myself away from the computer because I was spending so much time at the computer and playing World of Warcraft and raiding and doing all of that time-consuming, incredibly nerdy shit that I had so much fun doing. And looking back now, I mean, I don't regret any of it. I had a great time doing it, but I think that I should have branched out a little bit more. I mean, I played WoW for 4 years, and in that time, I did play, like, I did get an Xbox when it came out, the year it came out. One of my best friend got an Xbox, and it was actually during Christmas. He got in his Xbox, and I went with him to Walmart, and he didn't have any games for it. So he looked at me and he's like, "So what game should I get? Like, I don't know what game I should get." So we're sitting in Walmart and we're looking at the case, and there's nothing good. I mean, it's the release of the Xbox, and it's kind of shitty. I mean, you had like Call of Duty 2, and granted the game is good, and I played that a lot on PC as well. But at that point, my friend wasn't really interested in that. I told him that it was a really good PC game, and maybe it ported over pretty well. There was a demo for it, but he didn't want anything to do with it. And then we came across Gears of War. And we're not talking Gears of War 2. We're talking the original, the daddy, the Gears of War 1, the grandfather of the over-the-shoulder third-person shooters that is insanely popular nowadays.
Breach of the doorway core is imminent. Structured access imminent.
It is our sacred duty to stop these defilers. Burn them to ashes.
And we're talking Gears of War 1, where everything, or the shotgun was overpowered, the host had advantage with the shotgun. And by that I mean, in Gears 1, the shotgun had a longer range and more damage and a wider spread, but the spread actually did the exact same damage as a normal spread, so the damage was increased if you were host, because everything was on server, because everything was hosted through home internet connections, and they actually used servers over Xbox Live, which was interesting. But cutscene.
You have prevailed for now. Word of this sacrilege will echo across the stars, change, Raynor. The day of reckoning draws near.
These artifacts of yours seem real popular, Tychus.
What do we care? As long as the pay's good.
Really? I'd say getting vaporized by the Tal'Darim definitely counts as diminishing returns.
Alrighty. Yippee-ki-yay, destroy 50 Protoss structures in a dig mission on hard. Yeah. I wish, if that was on normal, I could have easily done that. I had so many goddamn tanks. So yeah, let's continue, I guess. That was a long mission. Holy crap.